A bam 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 a bam bam bam. What's up, y'all? Philyfli show checking in here, kicking in at Right Way Production Studios, and we have a pay-per-view for you. UFC 304 in Manchester, England. It is also going to be going on at our time, which is phenomenal. I absolutely hate when I have to watch one at a pay-per-view at 2 o'clock. I don't mind fight nights early. Early fight nights are awesome. But pay-per-views, not the biggest fan of when they're on early. But since it's in Manchester, England, that means they're going to be going on at like 4 a.m. or something over there, which is just insane to me. But at the same time, we got a great pay-per-view. There are 14 fights on here. The rematch between Leon Edwards and Belal Muhammad is finally happening. Finally get to see this get finished, as long as, a no contest doesn't happen again. We pray for that. And I don't want no one to get injured. I want Leon to finish the story of Belal, because this is just getting sickening to listen to. If you obviously have listened to the Philyfli show, there are certain people that the Philyfli show does not tend to root for, and Belal is on that side. So you can already see where that's going to go. A little foreshadowing into the future. We also get a co-main event. The interim heavyweight champion, Tom Aspinall, will be defending the interim champ. We don't hear that much, but he will be defending the interim champion against Curtis Blades. Now, a lot of people are upset that John Jones hasn't been stripped because he hasn't fought, yada, yada, yada. You guys know John. He's not going to give up that title just because of an injury. He had a horrible, horrible shoulder injury. There's no doubt about that. And everyone's saying, oh, no. John's coming back. He's going to get his fight. I don't know if it's going to be his last fight. Now he's talking about fighting Alex Pereira after he fights Stipe Miocic. So that could be a big, big fight coming up. But we are not here for that. We're here for UFC 304. Man, big. We're just going to jump into it because I want to talk about the co-main event, and I want to talk about the main event really bad. I've been doing some research on it, and I got some things to say. So we're going to jump into match leg number 14. We get Shauna Bannon versus Alice Ardeline. Now, Alice is a plus 145 underdog. She's also making her UFC debut, coming from one of those underground kind of MMA professional promotions. She's good. She's a good fighter. But Shauna Bannon, look, she had her first fight in the UFC did not go her way, and that was about a year ago on the Tom Aspinall Marcin Tybura fight. Look, guys, don't dog her just because the first girl she fought had some UFC fights, had some veteran leadership, and got the better of her in the decision. Shauna Bannon is a great striker. I do see her getting a W here. She is a negative 175 favorite compared to Alice at plus 145. I'm going Shauna here, and 3 out of 5 on the confidence level that she gets her hand raised after that first fight on the night at about 5 o'clock-ish, guys. So make sure you're paying attention to the early ones. These are still all good ones. All right, we'll jump into the heavyweight division in the males. Match like number 13, Mick Parkin versus, make sure I got his name right, Lakaz Brzezski. Now, heavyweight fights I usually don't bet on. But this one wouldn't be a bad one to put on a parlay if you're really confident in Mick Parkin. He's a negative 370 favorite, whereas Brzezski's a plus 275 underdog. Go whatever route you want on there because the heavyweights, they land, people go to sleep. It can be over real quick. Just look at that Tom Aspinall Pavlovich fight. I did not think it was going to go that way, and it went really, really well for Tom Aspinall. So, anyways, Mick Parkin, I'm picking here 2 out of 5 on the confidence that he gets his hand raised after this fight. But again, it's heavyweights, guys. Just this one, just be ready. Don't blink. Never blink in heavyweight fights unless it's going into the third round and you're like, these guys gassed, then you can blink a little bit. All right, match like number 12, we'll go into the welterweight division. Sam Patterson versus Kiefer Crosby. Crosby's a plus 325 underdog, whereas Patterson's a negative 450 favorite. I think this fight's a little closer than what the odds makers like. I think he's more of a negative 200, but a lot of money coming in on Patterson because he is from England and he looks like he's going to have a great show. I'm going to stick with Patterson and 3 out of 5 on the confidence level. He gets his hand raised after this fight. Right. We get match like number 11. It's a flyweight bout. I am surprised this other guy showed up, so we're going to start with the guy who I think's going to win because the other guy is a chum. we have a list bucket, our list bucket, our bucket list of chums. If you make it to the chum list, doesn't mean I won't ever bet on you again. It just means you're off the betting scale for a while because I just don't know what's gonna come out. And there is a chum on here, so we'll talk that one out. Muhammad Mokaev versus Manel Kopp, aka Manel Kopp is a chum. He keeps backing out of fights, and that's why he's a chum. It isn't actually because he's losing fights. It's just because he does not take the top competitors. He backs out every time. But this is a big top competitor, so I'm surprised he's even in this fight still. I'm surprised he didn't drop out yet. Mokaev is a negative 170 favorite, whereas Manel Kopp is a plus 140 underdog. Yo, dude, do not pick Manel Kopp. He's got power, he's got all that, but have you ever watched Mokaev? He is one of the future prospect champions. Like, top 5 guy, gonna be in the top 5 for a long time, super good skill set. He's gonna destroy Manel Kopp in a decision. I know it's really hard to say when you say destroy someone in a decision, but he's just gonna outpoint him the whole fight. 30-27, I'm predicting for Mokaev. 3 out of 5 on the confidence level that Mokaev gets his hand raised after this fight. All right. Match leg number 10 here. We'll go back to the welterweight division. We get Oban Elliott versus Preston Parsons, man. This was a hard fight to pick. Preston Parsons looks like he's got the MMA skill set to compete with the top competitors. Oban, I gotta make sure I say this right. I got somebody else in my head, I feel like. But I think he's only had 1 fight in the UFC here. One fight technically in the UFC, but he had a Dana White Contender Series fight against Brito, and that dude is no slouch. And then he beat Val Woodburn, and I don't think that dude's a slouch. I think that dude's a good prospect too. He just needs to get a little more training in. But 2 good fights to come up. Preston Parsons, he's got some good fights. Oban is a plus 125 underdog, whereas Preston Parsons a negative 150 favorite. We're going Oban here, guys. I just feel like his MMA skill set will be a little bit harder for Preston Parsons to compete with. I really like Oban. Like, really, really like his skill set. I think he could be one of these easily top 10 competitors that could be in the UFC for a long time. But 1 out of 5 on a confidence level, he gets raised because this is a close fight. Bet whatever way you want, but I'm going underdog here with the plus 125. All right, match leg number 9. We'll jump to the light heavyweight division in the males. Modestas Bukauskas versus Marcin Prachnino, man. Prachnino has proven to me that he is super good in the light heavyweight division, but I always go against him and then he wins. And here, Modestas, he got knocked out. They each got knocked out by Prachnino, and now Prachnino didn't look good his last fight. So now it's not looking like such bad losses on each of them. They're going to duke it out. Bukauskas a negative 150. Prachnino is a plus 125 underdog. Don't blink in this fight. This fight is going to be phenomenal. One of these fire ones that you just do not miss. Put your bet on whoever you want, but I'm going with Modestas Bukauskas. Only 1 out of 5, though, on my confidence level that he can get his hand raised after that fight. That's going to be such a good fight. Don't blink, y'all. All right, match leg number 8 is a bantamweight fight. Jake Hadley versus Colin Lofgren. Look, man, Lofgren is a MMA prospect in the bantamweight division. His boxing is so good. You are going to see one of the best hands in bantamweight division prospects. Not top competitors, the prospects, man. This dude's got it. Jake Hadley is usually fighting in 125, so him moving up in weight means he's taking this on a kind of a short notice camp. Still, he's going to be in it, but negative 210 on Colin. Jake plus 175. I'm going Colin all day. I think he's going to knock him out, and I think it's going to be a bad night for Jake Hadley because that boxing is just crisp, baby. 3 out of 5 on a confidence level that Colin can get his hand raised after this fight. Man, there's a lot of fights on this card. We are in for a treat, y'all. We are still in the prelims here. 2 more fights in the prelims. Match leg number 7, a strawweight female bout between Molly McCann and Bruna Brazil. Now, Bruna is a plus 270 underdog, and she has been big underdogs against other people, and she has won. She is no slouch. I think Molly McCann's got too much favoritism because this is happening in Manchester. Molly McCann negative 360 favorite compared to Bruno's plus 270. You could pick Bruna, but I don't think she's going to get a win. But I don't think Molly's going to get like a knockout finish, even though that's what she goes for every time. And that's kind of what dogs her in her gas tank. This time, I think she gets a decision win. Just barely, though. Like a 29-28 decision win. Barely on the judge's side. I just... It's going to be a close fight. Do not think that Molly McCann's going to get an easy finish, okay? 2 out of 5 on the confidence level that Molly gets her hand raised. You could go either route on this one, guys. I really, really believe it on that one. All right. Featured prelim bout, featherweight prospects. Maybe Nathaniel Wood versus Danielle Pineda. Now, I know Danielle Pineda is not in the rankings, but Nathaniel Wood could be close or in the rankings. He could be like number 15. I didn't look that up, to be honest with you. Just didn't feel like it because Nathaniel Wood came up short in his last 2 fights. He got a win in one of them, but then the other one he lost. Dude, the other one that he came up that he got the decision win in, he lost that fight. There's no doubt about it. They gave him that fight, so he's really got to step it up here. But against Danielle Pineda, Pineda is a plus 325 underdog, whereas Wood is a negative 450 favorite as of right now. I'm going Nathaniel Wood. But I'm not super confident on it. 2 out of 5 on the confidence because he just, I don't know what it is. I don't know if his gas tank went out. I don't know if it's because he was fighting in his home country and things happen. The adrenaline dumps happen. Just things happen. I don't know what it could have been. But I do think he gets the win. 2 out of 5 on the confidence level that Nathaniel Wood gets his hand raised after the fight on Saturday. All right, we get to the main card, boys and girls. 5 fights on here. 5 actually epic fights. Every one of these fights is good. You don't blink. You don't miss it. When the fight is over and you don't want to listen to commentary talk between them, jump and get your snacks because these are all good fights. Let's jump right into it. Match like number 5, featherweight fight between Arnold Allen and Giga Chikadze. Giga's a plus 185 underdog, whereas Arnold Allen's a negative 225 favorite. Look. Giga is great. Giga's got great striking, a decent gas tank. But Arnold Allen can strike, can grapple, and he's on a 2-fight losing streak, so he's going to have the dog in him to win this fight. Look, man, only way I see Giga winning is with a perfect head kick, perfect strike that knocks out Arnold Allen, and we haven't seen that. No one's done that. Max couldn't even do that. Max went the distance with him, so I think Arnold Allen gets a big W. I think the grappling is going to be way too much for Giga to overcome, and Arnold gets a big W. 3 out of 5 on the confidence level, and Arnold gets his hand raised over Giga Chikadze on Saturday night. Yeah. All right. This one, Dana White always does this thing where he does, if you don't know, now you know fight. Well, if you didn't know, time to flip and listen up because this fight is a banger. This fight right here could easily be a fight night main event for these guys. You get Christian Leroy Duncan versus Gregory Rodriguez. If you don't know either of these guys, you don't watch MMA enough because Gregory Rodriguez, he's been knocked out 1 time in his last 5 fights. And I don't even know how he got knocked out because I've seen that dude take the worst of the worst, and he's always standing there. And then you get Leroy Duncan, who can throw the worst of the worst. So Gregory also can throw the worst of the worst. He's got great striking, great grappling. No one wants to grapple with him. Nobody wants to see him when he's on his back. He's super good from his back. So if I see Leroy Duncan go for a takedown, I don't think that's a bad game plan. I think these dudes just need to see and strike and see whose head comes off. And I'm ready for it. Duncan, negative 140. Gregory Rodriguez, plus 120. I'm going Gregory because it's hard to knock that dude out. And Duncan has had as many UFC fights as Gregory. So I'm going with the MMA vet. I think he gets a big W on Saturday night. 1 out of 5, though, on the confidence level here. All right, match like number 3 is Bobby King Green and Patty the Batty Pimblett. Dude. Thank you to Mick Maynard and Sean Shelby for making this fight because we are in for a treat. This is a pick'em, negative 110 on each side. Is Bobby's hands going to be too much for Patty? Because if we've seen Patty take some strikes, and he's given us some reactions to it that we're not so fond of. But Bobby's also struggled against guys who can strike and grapple because he can't defend both. He can stay and defend the strikes, or he can stay and defend the grappling. He ain't going to do both. We've seen what happens when that happens. I'm going Patty the Batty here, and I am not confident at all. I'm just going to sit. I'm not even picking either of these guys on a daily fantasy or on a parlay slip or slip, because this is just sit back, watch, and enjoy the fireworks, because these are going to be some crazy fireworks. Do not blink. Patty the Batty's who I pick, but I am really picking. This was a coin flip, and it landed on Patty, baby. All right. We're finally here. Co-main event of the evening. Look, guys, this is a rematch, too. I don't consider this a full rematch. I feel like this is actually their first fight, because when they first got in the octagon together, it lasted a whole 15 seconds, and Tom Aspinall tore his knee up. My guess is in camp during then, even though he didn't say it on Embedded and it wasn't talked about, I think he had a small injury to the knee, and he didn't talk about it or didn't say anything to his camp or his trainers or anything. I think he had a small injury, came in, threw that leg kick, landed on his knee, tore his knee up. It was done for. But when he took that fight with Marcin Tybura and beat him in the way he did, and on less than 2 weeks' notice take a fight with Sergey Pavlovich and knock him out, and when you look at it, Sergey throws a heavy shot into him, hurts Tom. Tom gets his distance in there and just throws 2 strikes. It wasn't like he was throwing everything into it, and Pavlovich went night-night, okay? To me, I know it's heavyweights, but to me, that right there showed the crazy power in Tom Aspinall, and if he's worked on that at all, he hasn't fought since then, but if he's worked on that at all, it's gonna be a bad night for Curtis. Curtis, though, is gonna be going in for the takedowns, but Tom's also... The MMA math here is so hard, so we're gonna go and tell you the odds math, the odds makers, what they do. Tom Aspinall is a negative 400 favorite, which doesn't make sense to me. Curtis Blades plus 300. On a daily fantasy, I'm putting some Curtis Blades down on one of them, just so I can get some of the good fighters and just have him on there in case an epic upset comes. The thing is I don't see the epic upset coming, unfortunately. Curtis, if these guys don't grapple and it's striking, I know Curtis has got good striking, but it isn't as crisp as Tom. So if it comes down to where they stand up with each other, Tom's got the advantage, and that's where it happens. But no, negative 400, maybe negative 150, 175. But if it starts grappling and Curtis starts getting the better of him, that's a bad night, too, for Tom, because he's never been drug into deep waters. Curtis has the gas tank to do the deep waters, too. He's gone 5 rounds. He's definitely done a bunch of 3-round fights. He's got it. He can do it. Tom has never gone past the 2nd round. So I'm picking Tom here. But if I want to get... I'm picking Tom, but if you want to put a single slip down and get the odds to a better one, when put, like 500 to a stack down on Tom on something, pick Tom by 2nd round knockout, because I just don't see this going past the 2nd round. Tom doesn't like to. He gives everything into it, and it could be that. It just could be that type of fight, boys and girls. Just maybe, and let's get it. Now that's the co-main event. I could talk a little more about it. I really just like what Tom Aspinall brings to the heavyweight division. He also doesn't come in at 265, which I think really helps him. A lot of guys can't do it. Stipe was one of the guys that I seen coming in at like 230, 240, and he did it. But he had to put on some weight to fight on DC because DC was just that much heavier. Curtis Blades, I think, does the 265. So that's where we're gonna see a good fight, and I think the odds are just closer than what it is. Tom wins 1 out of 5 though on the confidence level that Tom wins. So boost those odds up by picking Tom in the 2nd round. Or if you really want to get some high odds, pick Curtis Blades with a finish. If you really want to risk it, but that's on you. All right, main event of the evening, boys and girls. The one I've been waiting to talk about. one I've been watching for literally paying attention to for a while, guys. I became a Leon fan. Man. It was a long time ago. I watched him fight. I was like, dude's got it, but he's just got to take some fights, train, and train. If you watched and betted at all, that dude's training regimens and the way he hits the bag, and it's insane that nobody talks about him. Or everyone talks about him, but they dog him, and they're saying, Belal's going to finish him. Belal's going to do it. Blah, blah, blah. Did you watch the first fight before the eye poke? Did you? Belal was hurt at least twice. And Leon wasn't really throwing everything. He's throwing his he's just doing what he does. He looked the same way against Nate Diaz. He just does what he does. And then he hit a level where he was fighting a dog fight that he was losing. And Usman was putting it on him in that first fight. Granted, I didn't watch it live. I had a medical event that day. Literally that day. That's how I remember this. But Leon lands that head kick with not much time left in elevation and just puts his lights out. And we've never seen that before. And then the rematch, he beat Usman at his own game. Point fighting, destroyed him, went for knockouts, didn't get him, but landed good strike. It was crazy. And you're going to come in here and say, Belal, remember the name Muhammad, just because he knocked out Sean Brady, KO'd him, TKO'd him, that he's going to win, and he's going to do all this stuff. You want to know how I know that's not going to happen, y'all? Go watch how Belal's been talking on social media before the fight. Oh, I'm going to knock him out in the first round. Oh, I'm going to put it on him and make him suffer and bleed. And then I'm going to knock him out in the second round. And then another time he's like, oh, no, I'm going to drag him into the deep waters. I'm going to grapple him and make him suffocate. And I want it to go the distance because I want him to suffer. And then going up in the press conference, putting a gun to his head. Dude. And then the worst one of them all was the elevator. And Leon gets it. Belal is terrified. You can see it in his eyes. And Leon Rocky Edwards is just cool, calm, and collected, baby. You think Belal, remember the name Muhammad, is going to win. He ain't winning this fight. There ain't no way. I know my record with main events is not very good. But Belal, remember the name Muhammad, is going to get finished on Saturday night. Do not put money on that plus 210 and do not pick him to win because it ain't happening. Put that money on Leon, baby. Negative 260. If you pick him with a finish, you can probably get it down to at least negative 150. Leon gets his hand raised. 4 out of 5 on the confidence level, and I don't do that, but I can see the fear, dude. It's there. Belal is just trying to sell the fight, and it is bad. And it's going to be a long night for Belal on Saturday night. All right, y'all. Philyfli show checking out for the evening. Share this with your homies. I went a little long. We're at almost a 24-minute mark by the time I cut this off. But shout out to Right Way Production Studios for always making this happen. And we will see you next week for the Saudi Arabia card. All right, peace out, y'all.